Yes. Good. So now what this, don't erase it like that. I'm just making a point. So this is f of what?
Oh, I see. So it's f of the cube root of x minus 6.
Good. And now I look at f, and f says f of whatever is whatever cubed plus 6. Give me the whatever cubed. What is the whatever now?
Oh, so now it's cube root of x minus 6 to the third
Very good.
plus 6.
Plus 6. And when I cube the cube root of x minus 6, what do I get? Yes? X minus 6 plus 6, and the answer is? It cannot be 0.
Equals x.
Equals x. In other words, when we apply f, and then when we apply g, and then apply f, nothing happened to x. Still plain x. If the answer were x squared plus 2, then f and g were not inverses of each other. Ready? Let's determine g comp f. So let's calculate g comp f. Ready? Good. So please dictate. Which is g of. But g says the cube root of whatever minus 6.
So it's the cube root of x to the third minus 6.
X to the third plus 6
Minus 6.
minus 6. And these two go away, and the cube root of x cubed is?
X.
So g says the cube root of whatever minus 6. But this is my whatever.
So how would we put it for the answer other than
F
inverses?
and g are definitely inverses of each other. Because in both ways, both directions, in any sequence, f and g or g and f, I got the same thing. Any questions? Ready to go back? Here's a question. I'm telling you that f of 0 is 4. Can anyone tell us how much is f inverse of 4?
Zero.
Thank you. Because 0 goes to 4 for function f, and for function f inverse will be applied to 4, definitely will return
0.
0. Very good. Okay, back to the last section of chapter 12, which is 12.1. Okay. So let's decompose. We want to decompose the following function. Let's say 28 on page 717. And this is h of x, which is 3x squared plus 6. We want to identify an inner function and an outer. And of course, for these problems, there is more than one correct answer. Let's think for a moment.
The inner would be 3x plus 6, and the outer would be x squared.
There would be 3x squared.
3x squared, I agree. And the other one, x plus 6. So it's where I start. So if I want to evaluate this for 0, I don't start with 3x plus 6. I start with x squared and then continue with 3x squared. And then I add 6. So the addition must be the last step. So one option would be to say this is the first, as we did, the inner function, and then the answer will be x plus 6 will be for the outer. Another option would be to consider just x squared, the inner function, and then 3x plus 6, the outer.
There would be x squared plus 2 and the outer is times 3.
You cannot do that unless you factor out a 3. So if you rewrite this, if that's what you meant, then I would have to agree. So if you write it like this, then this will be the inner function, which is x squared plus 2. Maybe that's what you said. Okay, that's fine. And then 3x. I agree. Perfect. Okay, so let's look at, we're given 2 functions. And the functions are, let's say problem 4 on page 717. F of x equals x squared minus 2, and g of x equals 3x. And we want here to find domain of f, domain of g, common domain, f plus g, f minus g, fg, and f over g, and their domains. And then we go back to chapter 7. Can anyone get us started on this?
The g of x domain is negative from the problem.
Right, they're both polynomial functions. So polynomial functions have no restrictions. We know how to graph this. It's a quadratic function opening upward down to -2, right? And this is a linear function. So they must be defined everywhere. So the domain of f as well as the domain of g is everything. So what about the common domain then?
Negative.
Right, everything again. This will be the domain of 3 functions. Which functions?
Addition and subtraction of function.
Domain of the sum, domain of the difference, and domain of the product. Absolutely. We are not sure about the domain of the ratio yet, but we'll find in a minute. Good, so now let's find the sum, difference, product, ratio. So we completed these steps. Now we want to find these functions. We already found the domain of 3 of them, but not the domain of the last one. So what does f plus g mean?
X squared plus 3x.
But yes, very good. But I will write it first like this for everyone to see, but you're right. It's x squared minus 2 plus 3x, and I have to arrange it in descending order.
X squared plus 3x plus 2.
Very good. Now f minus g.
The same thing but minus 3x.
Very good.
So x squared minus 3x.
So it will be x squared minus 2 minus 3x, which is x squared minus 3x minus 2. I agree with that too. What about fg? By definition first, what does this mean?
F times g.
f of x times g of x, yes. Very good.
And you
Good. So what do I get now?
3x to the third minus 6x.
Good. So finally, f over g. Stop me if you have questions, please.
F of x over 2x. X squared minus 2 over 3x.
X is a negative 1 over 3.
Careful.
0.
0.
Oh, right.
3x cannot be 0 divided by 3, x cannot be 0. So what is the domain of the ratio? From the common domain, I have to pull out what?
0.
Yes.
So negative is going to be comma 0 to union 0 to infinity.
Very good. Back to complex rational expressions on page 500. Problem 36. I meant 38. X to negative 1 plus y to negative 1 over 3x to negative 2 plus 5y to negative 2. We are trying to simplify this. State restrictions, just because it has two variables, all I want you to write is denominators are not 0, and I'm fine with it. I know that you know what you're looking for, but I don't want state restrictions if an expression has more than one variable. It's fine. Can anyone get us started on this?
You trying to simplify the bottom first? The denominator first?
You work with the exponents first.
Yes. In what way?
And they're all negative. So it'd be negative 1 over 2,
Careful.
1 over 2.
Careful.
Whatever X.
Right. Plus.
Y. No, 1 over 1.
Right. Over.
1 over 3x. To the bottom, right?
Power 1. I cannot move 3 anywhere. It has power 1.
So 3, 2 over x over x.
3 over x.
Negative. No, it's 2.
Good. Plus.
5 over y 2 seconds.
Good. This is an important section. Please look at examples from this section.
2 over x plus y.
So the least common denominator at the top.
Is xy.
Very good. Adjustment for the top.
Multiply that one by y.
Good. Adjustment for the top. The numerator.
So it's just
X
1
plus
x
y.
1.
Y times 1 is y plus x. Good. The least common denominator in the denominator.
X squared times y squared.
Excellent. Adjustments.
Y squared and x squared.
The numerator.
3x squared.
3y squared.
Or 3y
Plus?
squared plus 5x squared.
Perfect. I will only write all denominators are not 0. Okay? How do I continue now? What do I have to do? How do I divide two fractions?
You simplify each fraction.
I can't. They're terms. How do I divide?
Multiply by the denominator flip.
Very good. X plus y over xy multiplied by x squared y squared, and I'm going to put in order 5x squared plus 3y squared. Good. What goes away? Anything, please, anything.
The square and the oh.
Good. So then, this is xy in parentheses x plus y, and the denominator is 5x squared plus 3y squared. Assuming all denominators are doing the right thing. Any questions? Any questions? Do we need another, or do we move on to equations? Okay. 46. Same page. 500. A to negative 1 plus 2a to negative 2. Everything over. 2a to negative 1 plus 2a, this time in parentheses, to negative 1. Okay? 2 minutes.
The last one.
Yes, let's go back. I took away an x from here, I took away an x from here, I took away a y from here, and I took away a y from there.
And then you would
But there is still an xy left. That's why I didn't cross the whole thing, I only crossed the power. Because from 2 of them I still have 1. Because I only removed 1. For the same thing with y. That's why xy is in front, and then x plus y, and then the denominator. Better? Perfect. We're working on 46. Can anyone just give us the first step?
The numerator would be a over 1.
Careful.
whatever. Plus 2 over a squared. And the denominator is 2 over a plus 2a over 1. No, 2 over a.
Careful. Now the whole thing is at power of -1.
Oh, 1 over 2.
Yes. Good, so let's work on this now. Can anyone give us the denominator in the numerator? Just the denominator for now.
A squared.
Good. Are we ready for the adjustments for the top? The first one will have
Plus minus by
A. The second one will have
1.
right. Excellent. So then the top becomes,
A plus 2.
I agree. The least common denominator in the denominator now. Very good. Adjustments.
2.
And right. So then the numerator becomes,
4. No, 5.
yes, indeed. Let me write it as 4 plus 1 for everyone to see. Since I have only one variable, I have to state restrictions before I flip. A cannot be
0.
excellent. So then I copy a plus 2 over a squared and I'll multiply it by 2a indeed over 5. Does anything go away?
A squared.
Why, yes. 1a with 1a from here. So the numerator is,
A plus
yes, times
2.
good, so 2 in front. A plus 2, and the denominator is
5.
very good. Of course, assuming that a is not 0. Let's go to equations now. 22. Any questions? On page, I have no idea what page this is. 482. And that's 9 over x squared minus 4 plus 2 over x plus 2 equals -1 over x minus 2. We're trying to solve for x. Nine over x squared minus 4 plus 2 over x plus 2 equals -1 over x minus 2. 2 minutes. Can anyone get us started? Just the first step.
Set it equals 0.
Good. So 9 divided by, or
Oh. X plus 2, X plus 2.
plus 2 over x plus 2. And then what do I write?
Well, I did it so I didn't have a minus or negative, so I did plus 1.
Very good.
Negative x plus
Equals?
0.
Very good. That is the perfect first step. And here's the second step.
Can it be 2 or negative 2?
What is the third step?
Combine.
Find the common denominator.
Thank you.
Common denominator is x plus 2, x minus 2.
Now, you understand one thing. Don't write anything if you like to just look for 1 second. If somebody at this step writes this, gets a 0. What is wrong with this?
They didn't apply
Right.
the
The adjustments, of course. So please do not write something like this. Please. So the adjustments are, yes,
X minus 2.
exactly,
X plus 2.
exactly. It's a totally different story. I know it's tempting, but it will be terribly wrong to do that. Okay, so then
9 plus 2x.
Minus 4. Plus x plus 2.
excellent. What now?
Combine that term.
Correct. So then I have 3x plus 7 divided by x plus 2 over x minus 2. And what do I write next?
0.
Over.
Over 1.
Right, because I changed that whole thing into proportion now.
Yeah, now you cross. And
Now I cross multiply.
0 equals 3x plus 7.
So therefore, x equals, move 7, it becomes negative, divide by 3.
3. Yeah, negative 37%.
Is this among the restrictions?
No,
It's not, so then it's a yes. Do we need another rational equation?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's look at 7 on the same page, 482. Two over x plus 1 minus 1 over x equals 1. And then I would like to look at 50 on page 480. C equals D times A plus 1 divided by 24. They want us to solve for A. Can anyone dictate the first step, please, for number 7? So 2 over x plus 1 minus 1 over x minus 1 equals 0.
I did 1
I'm sorry?
when I moved 1 to the other side, I did minus 1 over 1.
That's fine. 2 restrictions then.
X getting negative 1. No, or 0.
Good. LCD, please.
X plus 1.
Careful. All different factors have to be in the denominator. How many different factors I see? I see x plus 1, which is not factorable. I see x, which is not factorable. And I see 1, which is not factorable. So the least common denominator would be, okay, let's assume it's x plus 1. Then I get stuck, terribly stuck. X plus 1 times x plus 1, oh, that's fine, it's 1. But x times what is x plus 1? X multiplied by what is x plus 1? Nothing. There is nothing I multiply x by to get x plus 1, therefore this is wrong.
It would be
Yes?
x multiplied by x
Thank you.
multiplied by 1.
Okay.
Which is just itself
Yes. Adjustments for the first.
multiplied by x.
Good. Adjustment for the second.
Multiply x plus 1.
Good. Adjustment for the last.
Multiplied by x
Squared plus
plus x.
x. I need to write both of them, but it's easier if I write them already multiplied, distributed. So be very careful. You know immediately whether you have the correct least common denominator when you get stuck and you don't have an answer for the top. So like I didn't have an answer because x times y is x plus 1. I don't know. It doesn't exist. So then I knew that x plus 1 could not be the LCD. Okay?
So now you have 2x minus x minus 1 minus x squared minus 1. Or minus x.
Excellent. Then what do I do? Good. Well, I see that 2x with negative x and with negative x go away.
So you get negative x squared minus 1.
Negative 1. Yes. Or negative. That's fine. Negative x squared minus 1. I agree. Perfect. Over x times x plus 1 equals?
0 over 1.
Excellent. Great. Now,
Negative x squared minus 1 equals 0.
good.
Which goes into negative x squared equals 1.
Or x squared equals negative 1. And now I know 4 methods of solving quadratic equations. This is a quadratic equation. Which method is the fastest here? And
Square
should,
root.
yes, of course. So I take the square root and I get x equals. It's quadratic. I cannot forget something crucial. Yes,
Yeah.
but what am I putting in front?
Plus 1.
Very good. So, no solutions. We are looking for real solutions. The equation has no solutions. We are solving this equation for A. C equals D times A plus 1 over 24. We are solving it for A. Can anyone give us the first step?
Multiply by, or distribute the d first,
Okay,
and then you multiply by 24.
I would do this first. And in the process, distribute. I agree. 24c equals,
dA plus d.
very good, dA plus d. We're solving for a.
So now you minus d and then divide by d.
You have two ways. You can do this, or separate the fraction and simplify. This is good enough. We're back to section 7.4. Let's look at 51. 15 divided by x squared plus 6x plus 9 plus 2 over x plus 3. Again, allow me to remind you, this weekend you must review the first 3 tests. Print out the blank test and solve it. You have solutions. Because we only have 4 hours next week to review. So I need to review everything. I'm not going to review chapter 12 and 7 because they're
We have
fresh.
4 hours. We have 2.5. Because I thought we were taking the test Thursday.
Right. So next week we have 4 hours to review for the final exam. That next week is the last week of classes. And we meet again for the final exam after that,
Oh, so we meet Tuesday the following week?
for the final exam.
Okay. I thought the final exam was next Thursday.
No, next week we review.
So a full week. That means we have 5 hours.
So
Wait,
next Tuesday.
Next week of class, next week is the last week of classes. So we have classes till Saturday. But the following week, we only have exams.
Okay, so what about Thursday?
If the final exam is on Tuesday, you're not going to meet with me until Thursday.
Oh, our final exam.
So that week is only with final exams. There is no class, nothing. All rooms are occupied with final exams. No more meetings. So we meet again twice next week, of course Thursday, but twice next week, and then again for the final. Yep. We're asked to simplify this. 1 minute. Can anyone put us on the right path?
common or not the common denominator, first factor. It's x plus 3 squared.
We have a contract on this for 3 months and a half, right?
Yes. You multiply the second by
A restriction hit then.
negative
So then the LCD,
is x plus 3 squared.
very good. And the adjustments,
1 and x plus 3.
good. So then the top,
15 plus 2x plus 6.
very good. So then it's 2x plus 21 over x plus 3 squared, and this is it. Okay, so now let's look at the previous section, which is 7.3. Number 20, on page 466. Seven x plus 1 over x minus 4 minus 2x plus 21 over x minus 4.